Silver stacking is exciting, but there are always two sides of a coin. What are some of the downsides that we never talk about with silver stacking? Well, let's find out and talk about the dark side of silver stacking. When you stack silver, you have a secret, and you can't really tell people that you stack silver. And the reason is quite simple. When you stack silver, you can't talk to people about the fact that you are storing value in physical form because of security. Why is it important that you don't talk to people that you stack silver or gold? Well, if you tell people that you have valuables, you make yourself a target. And I'm not saying that everybody out there is to get you, but you have no control over what friends or family will say when they're at a bar or drunk. You know, somebody might say, oh, I know a family member, their name is Dave, and Dave stacks silver, and he stacks a lot of silver. You've just made yourself a target. What if the other person that your family friend talked to does not have the best of intentions? It's important that you don't blab about stacking, right? Ultimately, you can say that you can take certain security measures, such as buying a safe and making sure that all your silver is kept in a secured, inaccessible location. But a safe or a metal box to prevent burglars from getting in is the strongest link in your security. Because you see, silver is a metal, a safe is made out of metal, but you are made out of meat. This is meat. I mean, if somebody pokes this, it bleeds. If you take a big enough knife, I'll die. And that's for every single human out there. Every single person is made out of meat. And meat is not very secure. Why isn't it secure? Well, if you put your silver in a big safe and nobody can get into it except for you, what will happen is you will be the target. That means that they will target you and they will ask you, the meat who has no security around you, to put a gun or a knife to your throat and say, open the safe. What will you do then? You'll not open the safe. You'll probably open the safe to stay alive. So that's what I mean. If you don't talk, you reduce that risk. That's the most important thing. Now, if you cannot share things about what you do, you are isolating yourself from your peers. We are people, and people are social animals. We don't like calling ourselves animals, but we are social animals. We live in a society. We have family, friends. We're not, we're not cats. Cats are very asocial. They leech onto humans kind of like parasites, but we're not cats. We have a social structure. We work with other people. We work together. There is certain pressure in society for you to behave a certain way. Now, if you stack silver, you become thrifty. But in your mind, you're saying, oh, I'm saving money, I'm doing something good, and I'm investing in my future. But society will not perceive you that way. What society will see is that you are not spending money. You see, it is glamorous in our modern day society to spending money on stuff like vacations, restaurants, clothes, fashion, video games, any type of trendy things, going to the cinema. Spending money is seen as something good. It makes you participate. You're able to share what you're doing. You know, oh, I bought this new shoe and people talk about it and so on. However, if you're saying that you don't spend money and you save money for the future and you don't buy and you don't spend, it is not perceived as glamorous. How it is perceived is very funny. If you have a hoard of you stack and you have gold and silver, how you will be perceived as is like Scrooge McDuck. Now, I don't know if you know about Scrooge McDuck from Disney, but Scrooge McDuck is a character who has a lot of money, and he has it in the form of gold coins, and he has this sort of this vault that he uses as a bath, and he jumps into it and he swims in gold. And that is how society perceives savers. When you have money, people perceive you not as somebody who wants to invest in their future. They perceive you as a miser. They also expect that if you have a lot of money, right, through your hard work or through the fact that you are very disciplined, that you share your money. And that if you're in a bar, for example, and your friends know you have money, a lot of them might expect that you pay the first round. This is just something that happens in society. People behave in that way. Therefore, saving, stacking, investing into your own future has a lot of stigma attached to it. More so with saving precious metal, and because it is much closely associated with the Scrooge McDuck type of image. And this puts pressure on you. This puts a lot of mental pressure on you and psychological pressure. So it requires that you have a very strong mental fortitude. You can't talk to people about stacking silver, for one, because of security reasons, two, because they'll judge you. When you stack, it's not just people who judge you, but also it's going against the grain. You're going against the mainstream current. There is the constant pressure from society that you spend money. There's constant advertisement says that you need to buy this, it will give you X or Y lifestyle. Like if you buy a car, you buy a Mercedes, you have a cool house, and you will go and you'll work at a cool place and you'll play at a golf course. I can tell you that not many people play golf, first of all, and buying a Mercedes doesn't mean that you can go to a golf course. Buying a Mercedes means that you have a lease, most likely, unless you're willing to shell out maybe $60,000 for a brand new Mercedes, or secondhand, maybe 30 grand if you're going to shell out everything, or you have a very long lease. So it's not that glamorous if you put it into the numbers. But how it's marketed is that if you spend and get the car, everything's going to go well. And people buy that. People who buy the Mercedes buy that, and the people around who look at the ad buy into it too. They'll be like, oh, cool, he's got a cool car. I can tell you that I have many cool things that I collect, I think is cool, and have gained in value. My only asset that I have that is depreciating is my car. And I've received more compliments on my car than on a silver coin that I bought. I was like, oh, this is like a cool silver coin, this Helvetia coin. It was like made in wait, where's my Helvetia coin? There it is. This cool Helvetia coin. Let's see if I can get it focus. It's not focusing. In 1949, no. This is the Varenelli, and then I have the, where's my here it is, my Helvetia coin. I told a lot of friends I told some friends who are very close friends and who I can trust that I got a Helvetia coin from 1895, if you can't see it clearly. And their reaction was like, I prefer to spend it on a nice vacation. I was like, okay, our priorities are different. Or they think that, oh, you should, with that money, you can pay 3-month lease on a much more fancier car, or they're not really impressed, or like, meh, whatever it is. So, in society, it is glamorous to spend. It is not glamorous to save. Stacking silver has a stigma around it. Stacking any type of precious metals, or even if you buy precious metals in a bank, there is stigma. And there's stigma from not just you buy from lay people, common people like in the street. You will have stigma from your banker or your investment advisor, because mainstream advisors will think you're crazy. They'll tell you that silver and gold, well, they don't generate value. It does nothing. It's not a company. It won't make like 10x returns. There's no possibility of it. There's such a low upside. There's no interest on it. Why would you do it? Well, I'm going to say, like, recently, I would say that they are more crazy than I am. And also, if you talk to crypto investors, they think you're investing in a relic. There's other reasons why I think crypto investors are wrong. I won't go too much into it. But mainstream investors, pretty much they're selling you a lot of these products that they want you to invest in are funds that are sort of basically sausages of different financial products. And these sausages, you don't know what's in them. I've studied mainstream economics, and I do understand how they make them, But when you ask your manager and you ask them, okay, you're selling me this fund, what's in that specific fund? Because it's got a good rating, but how do they rate it? Because normally they have certain standards they have to rate to. Can I verify that they're following that standard, right? And they'll tell you, no, we don't know and we don't have access to it. And then you're like, huh, that's fun. So I just have to trust your word that they're not messing with the package and everything in the package is in accordance to how the rating agency should be rating them, and there's no conflict of interest. And they're like, we can't guarantee that. We can just guarantee it has a rating. So you can see why I don't trust a lot of their financial advice. It's not so much I don't think that these instruments can't work, it's that I think that the inherent interest and greed of people make it so that they will have no incentive to structure it in a way that makes it work beyond what they can get, you know? so, so that's why I'm a little iffy about all financial instruments. Either I would have to structure it myself, or I would have to, which takes time. And honestly, I don't have the time or investment, and it costs a lot of fees to make your own structure. That's the thing. I've checked at how much it would cost me to make my own structure. It would be a nightmare. I have to do so much. It's a lot of work. It would be maybe a full-time job for me to do it and to balance it all the time. What about crypto investors? Well, crypto investors think this is something from the past. This thing is ancient history. The future is Bitcoin. They'll think you're insane. They'll consider you completely insane investing what they call a relic from a barbarous time. I think that they are wrong. One of the things that a lot of crypto investors don't understand, I work in software. I can tell you that crypto is the main problem with a lot of the cryptocurrencies is that, first of all, most people don't understand what they're buying. They're not buying a physical coin. They're essentially saying that I have opened an account, and in my account, I have these transactions written on it that direct X amount of tokens to it on a public ledger, right? So essentially, it's an accounting system where the auditing part of your accounting system is done through a P2P network, and it verifies that everything is true. The problem with that is that it's not really money. It's a tokenization of value. Basically, that's what it is. It says that you have X item, and X item has a value determined by the market. It's not fungible. You cannot use it as money. You can say like maybe it's a store. It could be a store of value, but it's not money. You cannot go out and buy like your Coke with it. And I would have a serious problem if somebody told me that like it would be perfectly safe for you to go out and it would be the same as money once we have advanced enough cryptocurrencies to make payments fast, that you can go and buy a Coke. Yes, I can buy a Coke at the local supermarket or at Walmart, but when I buy that Coke, the difference between that and me paying in cash is that I will be timestamped. I'll be forever publicly timestamped, viewable, not just by, for example, a government entity with a warrant to go to a bank and ask about whatever transactions I had. It will be visible by every single person on the planet that I bought a Coke with that company, right? That transaction. It might not say that I bought a Coke, but if Walmart has a wallet address, I don't know, XYZ for their payments, and they use it also for their online payments, and you decide to look up all payments towards XYZ, and you see a timestamp 1400 on December 12th that somebody made a $5 transaction. The only thing in the store is a bottle of Coke. You know somebody bought a bottle of Coke there. It's very easy. And you don't even have to have a warrant. You don't have to have a government official. You don't have to go through a whole layer of human like bureaucracy to get to it. It's just there. It's accessible to anybody, to any bot, to any crawler. They can map out who buys what from that Walmart wallet because they're making payments to Walmart to that address. Unless Walmart generates every single second like a new address, which will not happen because it's not practical. They will not do transactions like that. You know, how would people coordinate to always pay to Walmart? Walmart will need to contact you every single time for you to transact into a new address. That's at least for Bitcoin. There are other like more obfuscated currencies where your transactions are invisible, but then afterwards you have to get governments to accept that you are making invisible transactions like on Monero or Bitcoin Cash, and you have these these obfuscated transactions. Most likely what will happen is if somebody uses obfuscated transactions or a wallet that has had obfuscated transactions and they go and buy at Walmart, they're going to red flag because it'll be timestamped. And there's a bot surveying the public ledger 24/7. It's going to flag Walmart. You have a transaction that's obfuscated. Walmart will have an alert. Security guards can come to you and say, like, sir, you made an obfuscated payment. I think it's completely, it's like if you use crypto, it just facilitates Big Brother, unless you're saying that we have crypto that nobody can actually control, which is not true. We know that Bitcoin can, if we grew up, how people mine Bitcoin isn't that there's 1,000 individuals mining Bitcoin. There's 1,000, maybe there's 1,000 individuals, but those individuals decide to go into pools. And when you go into a pool, it means that you're working together with other people. You are one entity. And that's, I'm going on a rant now. I'll do another video of why I think silver and gold is better than crypto. It'll be too long if I rant about crypto. So what will happen? Well, what will happen is, so to get back to the topic, crypto investors will think you're insane to invest in this relic. It will be tough when you're investing into silver and gold on your finances, and it'll be tough on your mind because you have all these pressures. You have pressure from your peers to spend money. You have a pressure to not talk about the fact that you are not spending money but putting it into silver or gold. You will have pressure from your financial advisors or your bank to tell you that you're crazy and you should invest in things that have higher returns. You will be, in crypto investors just think you're some weirdo. But what can you do to keep doing this? I've done some analysis. I think that most silver and gold investments are relatively safe over long periods. I'm not saying that I'm not a full-fledged financial advisor, but in my basic analysis of looking at holding periods of longer than 30 years, there are very few holding periods where holding for longer than 30 years and selling, especially for gold, you're not at least on the upside. So do I think it is so what do you need to do? So what do you need to do to stay in the game, to stay in gold and silver? Well, first of all, I think you need to go into the mindset that this thing is a very, very long game. And you cannot overcommit, because if you overcommit at any moment before those 30 years, you might be making a mistake. Silver and gold has horrible returns in many cases, at least in what I saw in the model I was looking at. It's got very, very bad returns if you're at periods of less than 5 years. You're almost sure to make money if you buy and sell less than 5 years. There are instances where you could make money, but those instances are rare. You have to be in it for a long time. It will never go to zero, that's for sure. It will never default on you. But in the short term, the volatility tends to trend against you. That means that it's very rare that you catch the upside of gold or silver. But in the long term, the trend is upward moving. That's what I'm saying. So take things slow. Do not financially overcommit to keep your mind in a sane place. The second thing, this is probably even more important of what you can do to stay sane, is don't deprive yourself of human interaction. Remember when I said that it's glamorous to spend? Maybe you can still spend, but choose to reduce the amount of instances where you spend. For example, if you decide to go out with friends, I still go out with friends. I go out, at least before lockdown. I went out maybe twice a month with friends. I didn't cut back on what we did. We still did the usual things. We went to bars, went to fun restaurants, we tried new foods. You know, sometimes it would be a hefty bill. It would be like quite expensive, but I reduced the amount of times I did that. I didn't go out every single night. I went out maybe with two of my really good friends, maybe that I haven't seen in a while. We would go out twice a month, maybe once a month, and we would try to focus, I would try at least for me, to focus on the quality of time we were spending together and the quality of what we did, right? And that tended to keep me sane because I was still seeing people I like. I was still talking to people that I enjoy talking to. I was still doing things that I wanted to do, but at a slower pace. I wasn't trying to get instantly gratified. I was pacing myself and buying the things I wanted to buy. We all have wants. You're not human to deny the fact that you're some sort of robot and you can constantly buy silver and say like, oh, here is just more silver. You are a human being. You need social interactions. You need family and friends to stay healthy, mentally healthy. Then if you want to do that, if you want to pace yourself, I made a video about this, is that you should have a budget. You should have an idea of how much you can spend on silver without affecting your lifestyle, right? It depends on how much you earn, but however much you earn, I think there is a core amount, which is your critical expenses. You can say like, okay, for me, my critical expenses are rent, food, medical insurance, and then taxes. These are critical expenses. And transportation. So transportation to get to and out of work. You make a budget, put that in. That money you can't touch out of your salary. That money must be there by the end of the month. What else is there? Well, you then have savings. I think you need some cash savings because cash flow, people underestimate this. People are like, oh yeah, for 30 years the cash will devalue. Yes, but in the short term, you have to have positive cash flow. If you have negative cash flow and you get like a debt collector on your ass, that's not going to help your silver. If you default, right, what will happen is people will request that you liquidate your silver holdings. You will just lose out on the transaction. It's better to invest a little bit and be cash flow positive than to go all in and hope for that 30-year risk to pay off, right? It's okay to miss out on a little bit of profit, but you should still buy a little bit and invest a little bit every single month. So what should you do? Make a budget, determine what's absolutely essential. I made a video about it. Determine what's absolutely essential, how much you need to save, how much you need to stay cash flow positive, and then with whatever is left over, which you can choose to allocate either a little bit into leisure, or you can choose to put a lot of it, and so a lot of it, me personally, I put a lot of it into investments, into silver, gold. You can do real estate, you can do your own constructed sort of portfolio if you know how to do that. Yeah, there's a lot of options, but the budget and determining what you need and what must be there and what must be there to guarantee a secure cash flow is important. The next one, the dark side, how to stay sane while stacking silver, is I suggest you start working out. We live in a world where staying healthy is really important. So remember, work out, eat healthy, eat your veggies, surround yourself with positive people. We are very lucky, I think, as silver stackers, at least today, that we have online communities where you can find fellow-minded people who want to stack and who can share their experiences. And whenever you get your paycheck and you're able to set aside a little bit of money, you buy whatever type of coin. I found the community very positive. You know, nobody's discriminating, saying, oh, that's terrible, you bought some like cheap junk silver. People aren't arrogant in this community. They're like, whatever silver you have is good silver. As long as you're stacking, you're doing within your means, and you're trying to live fiscally conservatively, people are happy for you. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a big time stacker, small time stacker. It's very accepting and it's quite refreshing. And for me personally, what I do is I make one of the reasons why I make this video is to connect with silver stackers, right? I do this because in real life, you can't really talk about silver stacking. It makes you a target. If there's a security issue, you are the weakest link in a security chain. You are always the weakest link because you are made out of meat, right? A safe is not made out of meat. A safe is, even the cheapest safe, is more, I would say, protected than you are. If you fall down a flight of stairs and you crack your head, you could die. That's how vulnerable we are as beings, and people don't think about that. So yeah, I make this to stay sane, to connect with people online, to talk to them who are like-minded and who like stacking silver. I've also noticed that, you know, for me doing these daily videos, yes, it takes time, but I'm very happy doing it. It's very enjoyable. And I see people reply in the comments, and they're requesting content, asking me to explain how certain things work. And I do some research. I do the research. I do my best to see what, like, I'm like, oh, I'm learning stuff. I'm learning, how they're extracting silver, how they're doing like heap leaching. Oh, like ores, for example. The recent video I made was because one subscriber, Silver Dude, he suggested that we make a video about silver extraction. So I looked that up, and then I looked up some minting videos to see how like mints were actually, and minting articles to see how mints were cutting out blanks and how they're making dyes. And then, what's typical like dye duration. I think for some it's like a few 100,000. For some high quality like coins, I think only do a few thousand. So it's very interesting information. This is information I didn't know before doing the research, and it was because of one of you guys. You're like, yeah, you should do a video on that. And I was like, okay, I'll research it. And then I research it, and I bring what I find out, and I share it with you guys. So yeah, there's me talking, but there's also you suggesting. So it's we're all in it together. Today was a topic that was a little bit different. It's not related to really financial. It's more about how how you stay mentally sane and psychologically healthy when you're stacking, and dealing with peer pressure when you're stacking. I'll be doing more videos. So if you like the content, feel free to subscribe, click the bell notification button, tap like, and if you want to talk, write a comment. I've set a personal goal to see if I can reply to every single comment, as long as you're not a spammy sex bot who's putting random messages into the chat. I noticed this. I think I think those bots are like, oh yeah, silver stackers. It's mainly I've noticed this, that most silver stackers, there's mainly men stacking. I remember going to a coin and stacker conference, a local one, and I only saw guys. There were no women. I was like, okay, so that's why sex bots are spamming my comment section. I report them. Hopefully YouTube will delete any sex bot comments, and and keep the chat clean. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.